And welcome to our Standing Committee meeting for the Infrastructure, Environment and Compliance Standing Committee for the 2nd of August, and welcome to anybody that's taking the time to watch us on live stream. Sorry for the delay, we had a little technical issue, but all under control now, so thanks for your patience. We'll move on now to leave of absence and apologies, and I'd like to move that the Mayor puts in his apologies. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Potter, thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. We go straight to the recognition of the traditional owners, and as usual, Councillor Duff.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge country and the land where we meet this morning, the Waka land, and acknowledge the elders, both past, present and emerging. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. And item 4, declaration of interest. Any declaration of interest, councillors? Would have had time to read the agenda. All good to go? Okay, we'll move on now to item number 5, the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, and the officer's recommendation that the minutes of the Infrastructure, Environment and Compliance Standing Committee meeting held on the 5th of July 2023 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a mover? Councillor Henshin, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Potter. Any comments from those regarding the minutes? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 6, portfolio, infrastructure, planning, works, construction and maintenance, water, wastewater, plant and fleet. 6.1, the infrastructure, planning, works, construction and maintenance portfolio report for the month of August. And I think that will be me. And I would just like to present the report as presented. There's some items in there. It's all there for everybody to see. That's anyone's taking time. As I said, there's a lot of works going on. Current design and planning projects: Alfred Street, Kingaroy, River Road and Kingaroy Street Roundabout, Markwell Street, Frederick Street, Warulin, Burt Road, Bowie and Wandai CBD streetscape. They're all the current design and planning projects. And a lot of work going on: bitumen resealing, patrol grading and the usual slashes and flood damage restoration works and all that. So I'd like to present the infrastructure, planning, works, construction and maintenance, water and wastewater, plant and fleet portfolio report for the month of August to be accepted. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Potter. Any questions? Councillor Erkins.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. I just noticed with the roadside slashing, I just wonder if it's appropriate to ask here. I've had a number of people question me on the golf club in Nanango, which fronts onto the highway, whether it's possible just to have the guys have a look at that and see whether there's any chance that can be tidied up a little bit.
Yeah, through the chair, we'll add that in as a CR if that's okay, and have a chat with the parks team also in that area.
Thank you.
Councillor Duff.
Thank you. Just wanted to ask through you, Chair, to the Infrastructure General Manager. So I noticed that we've got 4,100 customer requests, 400 of these directly related to all of our works, which was 9,200, and we've completed over 3,500 recorded defects. I'm just wondering, and it's saying that most of those recorded defects and the work we've done has overlapped with the customer requests. But if are we getting back to the customer? So we've said that we've got 4,100 and 400 were directly related to customer requests, but are the remaining not 3,700, are they outstanding, or are we getting, even though they're overlapping with defects and RMPC Reaper work, are we getting back to those customers and logging them, saying that they're completed, or where are we at with the customer requests?
Through you, Chair. So this information that we've provided is primarily related to our defect management software, Reflect, and it's based on last year's information, and probably there's we've overlapped into the customer request, even though it's not a customer request management system. It manages our actual defects, and so what you find is that for one of our defects, we might have a number of customer requests. So that's where you get where we talk about our 400 defects that directly relate to customer requests. We might have, for example, one defect, which is a pothole, but we might have half a dozen customers ring up about that. So in terms of the actual defects that we've completed, so there's 3,500 that we've completed for last year. And in terms of, and so that's not necessarily related to the customer requests, but in terms of our 400 that we essentially link to the customer requests, it's my understanding that we do endeavour to get back to customers and provide information about completed works.
Yeah, thank you. Just I'm hoping we do that so that the customer gets the closure rather than just going, oh, well, we fixed that. Let's just complete that customer request. Yeah, that we are actually getting on the phone or emailing them back and saying, yes, that's done. Is that our process? Or?
Yes, through the chair. So the customer nominates how they want to be responded to, either by phone or by email or by letter, so they are responded to. So customer requests will either be acknowledged, so normally it will be acknowledged, go through. I think that this has come through a few times. It'll be put into for an inspection and it'll be responded to. So works will either be done, they won't be done for a particular reason, or they'll be placed on backlog for prioritisation as required. So the customer should be responded to there. There'll be a number of customer requests that have been acknowledged that also need to still be investigated, so they'll be in queue for the team to look at those when resources become available.
Sorry. Yeah, so now the question was more about, I know that we do get back to the customer, we say that that's in the program of works, but when we've completed that request, I'm just asking, I don't know whether we do or we don't, but do we actually say to the customer that we believe that your request has been finalised before we actually close it out, or do we just close it out? Like, I know we get back to them after initially, but at the end.
Yeah, there should be, in principle, they should be getting a response back. So the councillors will get the same thing, which is like an acknowledgement email to say, or resolution, I think it's a resolution email is what they call it. The customer should be getting something similar. So I know there's probably been a few gaps in the system at different times, but we've been endeavouring to close those up over the last couple of months, particularly to make sure we're responding better to customers. And also we've been trying to expand our wording to customers also, to say if we are going to delay something or something's been changed, that we try and provide a response at the earliest opportunity to explain why that is.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you. I have,
it is still a work in progress for us.
thank you, but I
Councillor.
have seen that happening, so thank you.
If I can, through you, Acting Mayor, so this is a snaps and solve one, so it was on Burrum Down Road where a tree branch came down in a storm. The tree branch was removed and the completion email to myself came probably a week later, but it did come. Thank you for your request regarding the above matter. The request has been actioned, is now marked as complete. These overhanging branches, treated branches were removed. If you want further information, So it was on that one, for example, that was, and certainly what the General Manager is saying about trying to improve and looking at how we can continue to improve the wording. But submitted through Snaps and Solve was acknowledged, and then there was a gap. As I drove past it, saw the branches were gone, and about a week or so later, the confirmation email that they completed the task came through. So if that assists.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, and thank you for the report, Councillor Jones. Just in relation to that 22-23 maintenance snapshot, it's really great to have this data, so thank you for the report. I just wanted to understand, I think the report's a really excellent demonstration of the data that Council's actually collecting on its network and how we're better understanding our network, so I really do appreciate that. If I'm reading this correctly, we have done an extensive amount of corridor safety inspections and program road inspections, and those meaning that we've recorded more than 6,300 defects in the system. You've then gone on to say there's been 9,200 accomplishments recorded by the maintenance team, and I'm assuming accomplishment is routine maintenance plus defects. But if I do, and that we've completed 3,500 of those recorded defects. So by taking the 6,300 defects that we've registered in our system and minusing off the 3,500 that we've actually resolved, we still have 2,800 defects in the system. And I guess I just wanted to understand in terms of, the scale of those defects. I see here in the table that you've got safety defects and then you've got priority defects. In terms of how you address that backlog of 2,800 defects in this current maintenance system, like maintenance year, I guess I just want to understand what that actually looks like, because I recognise we can't do our annual maintenance program plus keep on track of this rather large backlog that we still have, like we're chipping away at it. So I guess my question is, I'm just trying to understand how the system works in terms of prioritising those defects and addressing the defects that weren't addressed last year. Do they take the top of the list, or are they all then sorted? Like I've seen that data that you've given us before by priority, and then how does that impact your maintenance program this year? Have I made sense? I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'll have a go through you, Chair. So in terms of our maintenance management system, which is Reflect, it's not unique to a financial year. So we manage the whole, essentially, bag of defects, regardless of which financial year it is. So we would have come into last financial year with existing defects on our system. And so in terms of the prioritisation, in that little pie graph that we've got, our safety defects, and then which is primarily the work that we do through the year, and then there's a small portion of what's written there is priority 4 and 5 defects. So they're not necessarily safety defects. They might, for example, be, say, a drainage structure might have a concrete headwall with a crack in it, which is still a defect, but it's not going to hurt anybody. So they may actually sit on our system for many, many years whilst we go through and prioritise the higher order, I suppose, priority 1s and 2s, which are the ones that are particularly potholes and edge breaks are likely to cause injury to people. In terms of the wording may be a little bit confusing. In terms of the accomplishments where we've written there, where we have our routine or circuit type work such as patrol grading or roadside slashing, we won't record defects, say, for unsealed roads on the basis that we would come through with a normal routine patrol grade circuit and generally get rid of a lot of the defects that are on that network. But so they're recorded as accomplishments, so work that's done, but not necessarily in the number of defects. So that's where you see that difference between the accomplishments and the number of defects that have been completed. But generally, in terms of the management of the defects that we have in our system, we do have, obviously, need to stick to a budget, and that's where the prioritisation of these defects becomes very critical for us, on the basis that we're not going to fix every single defect that we have, but we'll work through the highest priority ones.
Just supplementary question, just in terms of, how you might report this back to council. I'm really interested in, the value of the defects on our system. Like I know, speaking to the DG of Department of Main Roads, well, former DG, he could actually tell us, you know, there was a backlog, a significant backlog of X on his network, and he was chipping away at it by doing X, Y, Z. Like, is there a simple way we can kind of communicate the value or what we're actually doing for the community?
Through the chair, yeah, fully agree, councillor. I remember our presentation we did at budget time to actually show the value of that. It's especially when people complain about the potholes and the network and all that sort of stuff. But you know that might be worth $10-15 million, or you know it starts to add up after a while. We'll look at what reporting we can bring back, probably particularly between now and January, to see if we can get some more metrics, and it's probably easier to produce. So yeah, happy to have that left with us to look at how we can do that and keep council informed. Just allows everyone to understand what's going on. So.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's an excellent report, and I think in the lead up to budget, you know, we had a lot of data and a lot of discussion about it in setting down this year's budget. And I just think it's, you know, as councillors and our role in terms of determining strategy and budget, I think it's good to have that higher level understanding of exactly that bigger picture. So appreciate anything that your team might be able to do with the data that we've got and reporting that back. Thank you.
Okay, no more questions on the report. If not, we'll go to the recommendation moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Potter. The Councillor Jones's infrastructure planning works construction and maintenance portfolio report to council be received for information. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 6.2. Minutes of the Traffic Advisory Committee meeting held on Tuesday the 13th of June 2023. The officer's recommendation that the committee receive and note the attached minutes and recommendations of the Traffic Advisory Committee held Tuesday the 13th of June 2023. Do I have a mover? Councillor Duff, second to Councillor Henson. We'll go straight to Manager Darcy. Have you got any comments in regards to any of that? Nothing up. So any questions, Councillor Duff?
Thank you, Acting Chair. Just wanting to know what is the likelihood of a speed reduction in that Wandi area. I know that it says here that they're looking at it, but there was talk that it wasn't going to happen. And is something like just a traffic calm or just like a speed bump something that could be looked at? That's my first question. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Yeah, we're looking to work with Main Roads on this. They are the gatekeepers of the data on this. We haven't actually viewed that data to understand what that actually tells us at this point in time. We'll certainly look at what options can be achieved through there, but we don't have any sort of preconceived ideas on how to do that until Main Roads have had the opportunity to report on it.
Thank you. Just my second question is, in the fatal car crashes section, it's discussions held surrounding recent car crashing in the South Burnett. So just the other day on the 28th of July, there was a car crash on that Mergen-Gayndah Road. It wasn't a fatality, but I'm sure it would have been recorded. And then I've got messages from one of the school teachers who lives right outside that particular spot, which is 695 Mergen-Gayndah Road. And there was a fatality there a few years ago of a husband of one of the teachers. And the lady she's saying that she's continually, there's an issue, and it's just past where those, I've raised it a number of times, where those divots are in the road on that Mergen-Gayndah Road. It's just past there. And I said, I've messaged and said I would raise it at the council today because it's only just come through. But yeah, just if we could look at that area around on that Mergen-Gayndah Road through that Traffic Advisory Committee, that's in front of 695, because she said that they continually go out after rain and shovel that area because it's really dangerous. The water goes over across the road. So just wanted to flag that. Thank you.
James, we'll take that. Obviously, you've made note of that, and we'll take that to the next traffic advisory. That's a main road and a state road.
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. The minutes of this meeting was from June, so I dare say that'll make it to the agenda for September.
Okay, no other questions? Councillor Shoemaker.
Just wanted to understand the crossing in front of Swickers. I understand there's a report to go back to the September TAC meeting, so there'll be more data. I was just trying to understand where exactly they're trying to cross from. Is it where the cars, is it the front access on Kingaroy Barker Creek Road, or that's my question.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Council were approached by Swickers around trying to assist with connecting them back into the footpath network, and where was the best location in wanting to cross Kingaroy Barkers Creek Road. They've got a vehicular access that's to the east of Testmans Road. We've provided a concept plan which brings them out probably about halfway along their frontage back on the western side of Testmans Road to allow for that direct connection into the footpath network. The other challenge with this is the drain, obviously, but there would need to be some infrastructure to assist with that. At the end of the day, main roads are they own the corridor through there, so we've provided a bit of a concept on linking Swickers with main roads, but we haven't got any feedback on that yet, so we've left it with the department to provide some road corridor expertise and guidance to help us in liaising this back with Swickers, but we're there to facilitate this and happy to work with them, given how the sheer volume of employees that do use that is pretty significant out there. We also cited it in trying to get it away from the turning movements of the intersection, but also put it near a power pole to assist with easy installation of street lighting in those hard days of visibility, such that it just helps illuminate that area a bit better and hopefully provides a better outcome for Swickers as well.
Yeah, thank you for your work on that. I know just dropping the kids every day at St John's, I often see people trying to cross the road, and it is a really legitimate issue. So it's great to hear that we're trying to support and enable an outcome. Thank you for the report.
No other questions? If not, we'll go to the recommendation moved by Councillor Duff, second by Councillor Henson, that the committee receive and note the attached minutes and recommendations of the Traffic Advisory Committee held Tuesday the 13th of June 2023. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 6.3 Gordon Brook Dam Off-Stream Storage Design Funding Program Milestone Requirement. The officer's recommendation that the committee recommends to Council that, in line with the requirements of the approved funding agreement under Round 6 of the Building Our Region program, 1, Council confirms that it has budgeted the recipient's financial contribution to the approved Building Our Region Round 6 funding application for the Gordon Brook Dam Off-Stream Storage for Boondoomba Water Detailed Design Project. 2, Council is committed to deliver the detailed design for the Gordon Brook Dam off-stream storage and ancillary works. And 3, Council acknowledges the responsibility for any funding shortfall if costs or other contributors change. We have a mover, Councillor Potter, seconded. Councillor Shoemaker, comments, questions? Councillor Shoemaker.
Just last week at the Bush Council's convention, one of the senior managers from the Department of Water actually spoke about water infrastructure and critical water infrastructure, and how they would have conversations with council outside the rounds of Building Our Regions, if necessary, if the infrastructure was deemed critical. I honestly don't know how more critical this project could be, but I just wondered, my question to you, I know you've done a lot of work behind the scenes, I just wondered what kind of conversations were being had with the department, and what the timeline for Building Our Regions Round 6 might be, and how we might actually be able to fast track the project.
Yeah, through the chair. So we've been engaged with the department for quite some time, particularly since the Kingaroy Regional Water Security Assessment was released. It's obviously been an issue. We do regularly talk to the department in the development of the project, so those discussions are probably ongoing. I think there's a later question that I think that you asked last meeting, which is around the status of Gordon Brook Dam. Tim has some information in relation to that down there as well. So this issue will continue to come periodically, particularly if we have a dry spell. and the impact of that. So we'll continue to keep the department informed of our progress and continue to probably identify to them that this issue can become critical at any time for us.
Yeah, thank you. Further to that, I guess question to CEO Mark, I'm actually wondering if we shouldn't go and meet Minister Butcher again, if we're actually in a position where we're shovel ready to go and advocate for the actual funding for this.
Through you, Chair. Just be aware, Council, at the moment we aren't shovel ready per se. That's why we originally missed out on the round 6 BOR. So as an addition to that, we were successful in getting funding for the detailed design so that it put more surety around the numbers of the quantities and the costings, so which would put us in a better position for when round 7 comes up.
Yeah, so, yeah, I guess I'm just mindful of, the time that it's taken to get us to this point. And, I can see, so the design budget is 315,000 and we're going to contribute 25. But I guess so my question is, what's your time frame for actually having those detailed designs? Because in the lead up, after the information that we got from the Bush Council's conference, and the ongoing discussions we've had both at a state and federal level with various ministers about the criticality of Kingaroy's water, I am wondering if there's not an advocacy piece here for council to try to fast track this project outside of the Building Our Regions timeframe, which there's no clarity as to when that next round might actually open. And after being advised by the department that they'd be willing to listen to us and see if there's something else that can be done, I guess I'm keen to understand, so my question is, to be clear, I'm keen to understand when we'll have the detailed design completed after this, and should we be going to visit Minister Butcher again and say, this is the design, this is what it's going to cost, we'd like you to write us a reasonable cheque to help us with this issue.
Through you, Chair. Yeah. So the tenders for the detailed design have been called. So it will be delivered definitely this financial year.
This financial year.
Correct. So we will then have, and part of that scope is the detailed design of the storage, the ancillary pipe works, so that we can get and then also provide us with detailed costings as well. So it's not just council's estimates; it's industry assessed costs, just to give us more surety around our numbers, so that we can apply. Particularly the volatile increases in the last 12 or 18 months, our figures are probably nowhere where we anticipated they were 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I think it's just something to have on our radar, that in terms of the advocacy around this, I think we need to be on the front foot in the lead up to the next election at least, and definitely try to get some support from the state.
Thanks, Councillor Shoemaker. I'll add to that after Councillor Henson. We go through the other Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Part of the Bush Council, and it was that water came up there in one session on a particular day, and we were addressed by Linda Dobe, she was acting Director General of the Department of Regional Development, Manufacturing and Water, and to sit there and have the National Water Grid Fund and be told that we're up to 50% funding, and this is just for general information, which is part of the importance of these conferences and Bush Council that we go to, through you, Mr Acting Chair Jones, that I'm astounded when it states up to 50% funding and for critical needs and future water security. It's too late when we get to critical needs, I can tell you. I'm just blown away by those comments made, and the whole conference centre, I think you could have heard a pin drop when that was suggested, because water infrastructure, it was said by the other 37 councils there, without water you've got nothing. So, yeah, that was an important thing, really important thing, and the statistics around urban water, and if you don't mind just bearing with me for a minute, across the state there's 45,000 kilometres of water. This is in councils. This is in councils across the state. 45,000 kilometres of water mains, 75 water service providers. There's $3.55 billion spent on capital and operations. There's 259 water treatment plants. There's 214 water treatment, 259 sewage treatment plants and 214 water treatment plants. There's 489,000 megalitres of drinking water supplied, and there's 2,090,000 connected properties. And the list goes on. So they're just some figures across our state of what water is and how the importance of water, and to be told that we can apply for 50% or go in 50% when we get to critical needs. It's just, and the importance of our water here with the Bindumda supply, we have a failure rate of 1 in 13 predicted, and an important thing that's happening is storage to secure the water in the South Burnett and certainly in Kingaroy. So yeah, Mr Mayor, just wanted to bring those figures forward. That was a serious conversation had down in Gundawindi last week about water, and be interesting where we go because it's running out.
Thank you.
Acting Chair, just out of curiosity, did they actually give you the presentation for this? Was it just a speech, or was there actually a presentation? Because this would be really interesting, given the multiple correspondence, the multiple visits, the actual absolute. Anyway, yeah, it's probably not the time or place, but yeah, I'd be extremely, and given the Resource Community Infrastructure Fund that our council's been excluded out of, that we have got a formal request in to find out why, which would fund Gordon Brook as well. And the feedback we got from, yeah, if there was a presentation, or councillors, acting mayor, after the meeting, the name of the presenters, because I would very much like to follow this through and find out where the change is.
Thank you, Mr CEO, and through you and Councillor Shoemaker. There was a presentation, and it was directed to the entire conference by the Acting General Manager that I just stated there, with a full slide presentation, and those facts and figures were what I took a copy of and what I've just read out to you in the chamber. So, yeah, it was very interesting, and I mean critical, anything to do with critical, whether it's whatever shape or form, it's a little bit late when you're in critical. So, yeah, very interesting conversation, Mr CEO.
Councillor Erkins.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Acting Mayor. One of the things that I was particularly concerned with was the assessment that they said had been done on regions. And while they were speaking, I went up and looked at the assessment for Kingaroy. They actually had it under, and it's way out of date. So there are things in there that are not no longer relevant. There are things there that they quoted were going to be happening. It should already have happened in 2021. So I just wonder, do we ask them to do another assessment on our water? So I'm talking across the region, not particular for Kingaroy.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd be interested to see what assessment was being used and discussed. So I'd probably like to find out more about what was discussed. So if I could, we might round that up another day. I'd be interested to see what was in. You're right there. There has been a large body of work done by this council, particularly across the MIP program, which outlines the forward pipeline of projects that are suitable, or at least should be progressed into further diligence. And there was also a Kingaroy Regional Water Security Assessment done as well, where a lot of projects and so myth busting was concurred as well. So
I may have misunderstood, but my take on it was an assessment done by government on, it wasn't one, I don't believe, that was done. It quoted things that we were intending to do, I believe, but I believe it was done by the government, and it definitely was out of date. There were things that have not happened that they actually had quoted, and that was mainly the water for Nanango, because I know what they said was that council were going to run a pipeline by, I think they said 2021, a pipeline from Kingaroy to Nanango. And I did stand up and say, well, that's not possible. You know, I've spoken to our water officers and that's not possible to do. So I couldn't see if they were going by that. They obviously had no idea of our current situation. So that was my, one of the things that I picked out.
I was going to say, Acting Mayor, I think would be very pleased to get that presentation, because this has all the hallmarks of the same engagement we're having with the Bundaberg-Burnett Regional Water Assessment, because they have... Anyway, yeah, this is not the time or place to discuss it, but I think we will be following that up formally.
Councillor Potter?
Yeah, I actually just want to follow on with what Councillor Erkins was saying, because I've actually got the report in front of me that they wrote for the whole South Burnett, and it does say that that the Kingaroy and Nanango water supply network will be connected by the 2020-2021 with existing bores maintained as emergency water supply. That's exactly what it says in the report, which is a little bit ironic, because when you look at the date this was written, it was actually written in, I think it said 22, so, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, just a few last final comments. Councillor Shoemaker?
Yeah, I'd just like to propose that we add a dot point to the motion. Yeah, sure. Yep. Yep, sure. Happy to do it separate, but would like to put forward a motion after.
Yeah,
Councillor Henson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, look, I'd just like to add as well, which slipped my mind for a brief moment. It was ironic. We sat there and looked at all these facts and figures, and critical got bashed down our throat that we are and other councils are taking to the LGAQ conference, water become an essential service, an essential commodity, and here we are being told, when we get critical, we'll have a look at you. So, yeah, it was a very, very interesting topic on that particular day. And the importance, again, of going to these councils, because 38 of the councils there have the same issues.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Shoemaker's comments before that this is critical. My personal belief is this is the top of the tree for us as water. This is our most critical water issue that we have, and we put a whole list forward for the ref funding and all that, but I think this, me personally, should sit top of the tree because it is critical to so many things. Anyway, and just in regards to that, Tim, so you said that the planning and all that, the full plan will be able to be done this financial year. If there was funding come available, say Christmas, are we able to have that? How are we travelling there? Just because we've got Councillor Shoemaker and others are going and representing this council on trying to get the funding from the government now for all sorts of infrastructure, and if this one was to get up for whatever reason, are we able to move on Christmas, January?
Through you, Chair. I'd have to look at our timeline milestones, but yeah, anticipate that we'll be substantially along, and we could probably, and we've already done most of the groundwork. So council might remember the round 6. We actually did put in a submission for the funding for it. So and yeah, a bit of a communication issue there, and so basically, yeah, we got additional to get refined, detailed design. But in answer to the only thing I'd put on that is the quantity of the value would be an issue for us. So I wouldn't like to go on council's behalf and say, oh, it's $10 million when it's actually 20. It'd look pretty silly. Yeah, that's the only rider I'd put on that.
Thanks, Manager. Okay, so as the CEO has indicated, this is for the grant funding, so we'll go with the committee recommendation, moved by Councillor Potter, second by Councillor Shoemaker, that the committee recommends to council that in line with requirements of the approved funding agreement under round 6 of the Building Our Region program, 1, council confirms that it has budgeted the recipient's financial contribution to the approved Building Our Region round 6 funding application for the Gordon Brook Dam off-stream storage for Boondoomba Water Detailed Design Project. 2, council is committed to deliver the detailed design for the Gordon Brook Dam off-stream storage and ancillary works. And 3, council acknowledges the responsibility for any funding shortfall if costs or other contributors change. Go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Jones. I'd just like to move a motion that the committee recommends to council that councillors and the general manager for infrastructure, CEO, and CEO request a meeting with Acting Director General Linda Doe, Department Water Resource, DRDMW. Yeah, DRDMW. Sorry, I don't have the exact. It's the Regional Department Regional Development, Manufacturing and Water. And provide a deputation with regards to the criticality of South Bennett water challenges. Something to that sense. Mr. CEO, happy for you to add. So it's, yeah, Dobe, D-O-B-E, sorry, T. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd like to seek a seconder.
Okay, thanks, councillor. So, Councillor Shoemaker's recommendation that the committee recommends to council that councillors and the General Manager for Infrastructure and CEO request a meeting with Acting Director General Linda Dobe of DRDMW and provide a deputation with regards to the criticality of the South Burnet's water challenges. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Potter. I think it's straightforward. I don't think we need to have any further discussions. We go straight to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we now move on to 7.1, which is a water and wastewater portfolio report. And again, I would like to present the report as presented. For anyone that's online, again, it's all there. The graphs are there, the raw water storage and all that sort of stuff there. We can see Boondoom is sitting at 84%. Councillor Henson will certainly be watching that, as he always does, and give an update on that. But the water report's all there, and things seem to be going well. And I forgot to mention in the infrastructure, but I'll do it now. A thank you to all the staff, men and women that are in internal and external, delivering the services to the community, that continue to try and do the best they possibly can with the resources that they have. So I'd like to move that my water and waste water portfolio report for the month of August be received. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Potter. Any questions and comments, councillors? Councillor Henson.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. You're dead right. I do watch that with bated breath, and I'm standing again, and I asked a question in this chamber a month ago in relation to the readings on the dam storage levels. We have been doing the dam at 84%, and last month it was at 85%. I'm a little astounded by those figures when I talk to landowners out there, and everyone's saying how much the water's dropped. There's been no overland flow in the last 4 months, and certainly not going to look like any in the next couple of weeks or months either. I've asked this, and I might sound like a broken record, but to you, Manager Tim Lowe, how is that judged month to month. Like, I mean, we know we've had no precipitation, there's no overland flow, there's nothing running in there, and there'd be still massive, or the usual requirements of water extracted out of there. So to just have, and previously I watched it and it was roughly 3 and 4% per month. And yet it's 1%.
Through you, Chair. So, if I understand the question, is why is that so? Or so it's largely you've got your consumption, natural normal consumption, then you've got your weather pattern issues. Have you got high heat, high wind? So you and then you've got your ground seepage as well. So it's a whole combination of lots of things. So it's a very hard thing to say, oh, we're going to use 2% per month. You get an average, a rolling average, you will, but it is very much subject to the current weather. So in wintertime, you should see a drop off in your reductions in the dam capacity each month. Summertime, you will heat up. You've got your winds and your high temperatures and your surface water temperatures, and particularly when the dam is full, it'll actually the evaporation rate is a hell of a lot more because of the surface area of the dam. Does that answer your question, Councillor?
Yeah, thank you, Manager Lowe. And it's just a conversation out there, and everyone's comment is about how the water's deteriorating just in the primary producers area. And as you know, I watch it monthly, and it's interesting. I mean, I hope it stays at that rate for a period of time. If we hit the spring and the summer months, I have no doubt that it'll deteriorate quicker. But, you know, certainly fortunate that Feldon, we're at 85%, and it's Gordon Brook, and I know Councillor Shoemaker, you asked the question, I think it might have been on notice. We're 77% in Gordon Brook, so we're a little bit off having any major concerns there, I'd like to believe.
I believe that's in the answering question on notice, but around March is our best guess, as we'll be down to the 50%.
Thank you. So the officer's recommendation is that Councillor Jones' water and wastewater portfolio report to council be received for information. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Potter. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Councillor, I'm just looking for your support here. While we've got Manager Lowe here in regards to the water, the question's on notice 13.4. The infrastructure, the question was put forward by Councillor Shoemaker. I'd like to move that we bring that forward now so that we can deal with it, and then Manager Lowe can go back and do what he wants to do. So do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Duff. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. So we'll now move on to 13.4, the question on notice of infrastructure. The question, or the Infrastructure Department has received the below question on notice from Councillor Shoemaker. The question was, has any modelling of how long that water source will last been done, and how long till we reach the 50% level? Now, this is in regards to, obviously, Gordon Brook Dam, as Councillor Henson just indicated. So the response is there, 50% likely around February, March, based on current demand and climate. Manager Lowe, do you have any comments or any further information for Councillor Shoemaker before we go to Councillor Shoemaker?
Through you, Chair. No, I think there's a fairly detailed response there with the trending charts, etc. Unless there's any questions from Council.
So it's my understanding that once we reach 50%, it becomes much more costly to actually treat water from Gordon Brook Dam, and if anything, the preference is to use 100% from Doomba water. And I just wanted to confirm, is that our strategy for February, March? Or?
It's through you, Chair. It is increasingly difficult to treat the water to a relatively modest standard. But it is also, again, subject. 50% this time, the water quality may be better than it was 50% last time. It really does rely on what inputs have been into the dam as to the quality of the water at the time. We test it, but the preference would be to continue the blending. But generally, history has shown us that 50% it is increasingly difficult. So we prefer to go to basically not use Gordon Brook if we can.
And I just want to confirm, we actually exceeded our allocation from the Moomba Dam last year.
No.
Very close.
No, we're about 50 megs short. Yeah, so we didn't have to buy any additional. The previous year we did. We were 50 megs over.
50 megs over, but we did have inflows last year, and we didn't have inflows the year before. I'm actually just in discussing this and knowing that, you know, in very many ways it's a ticking time bomb for our community. I am wondering if we shouldn't actually look at, and this is the challenge, until you have the off-stream storage, it's very hard to actually acquire more water, but I'm actually wondering if we shouldn't be having conversations about what a progressive transfer of allocation could look like for the year ahead. If we don't have inflows into the dam 50% by February, March, and with the weather predictions for the year ahead, you know, we could be needing a lot more water than what we're actually buying or receiving from the Moomba Dam. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't start using this as a bit of an advocacy piece to look at increasing our progressive allocation. Welcome your thoughts on that, but and perhaps it's another conversation, but I do hold concerns.
Through the chair, I think you're right, Councillor, in the sense we probably need to look at what is our plan for future allocation, both temporary and permanent. It's probably one, to be honest, it's hasn't been high on our radar, given that we've had other issues going on. But it might be something that, if you're happy for us to talk with Mark about that, and maybe bring that back in a future report to council around what that strategy looks like. Noting that, the temporary one is something that we need to plan for, but we still have to have a way forward with permanent HP, and what that time frame looks like and what that volumes look like as well. So happy for us to, if you're happy with that, we'll happily discuss it back with Mark and bring it back to council in the future to look at what that strategy may be.
Yes, definitely. I think it's actually really critical to start having those conversations now, because it's going to take time, and I also understand, there's a bigger advocacy piece here that has to be started somehow, and I've got some further information following some conversations last night, so I'll bring that forward in the break.
Okay, so Councillor Shoemaker, do you want to move that the response to the question be raised, received and noted? Yeah, do we have a seconder? Councillor Erkins, all those in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. Thanks, Manager Lane. Okay, back to the normal run of the agenda, back to 8.1, the Natural Resource Management, Compliance and Environmental Health Portfolio Report, and we'll go to Councillor Henson to present his report. Thanks, Councillor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, my portfolio, Natural Resource Management for the Agricultural Innovation, Compliance and Environmental Health for the past month. And the weed management, treatment of known mother of million infestations continue in collaboration with K&S Contracting Queensland, and mother of millions is still prolific this winter due to favourable conditions suited to the growth of this dominant weed species. NRM officers have undertaken property and roadside inspections for both mother of millions and Parthenium weed, and small isolated infestations of giant rat's tail grass have continued to be treated in known areas across the council road network due to earlier rainfall received in June and July. It has been confirmed African boxthorn is present in a limited number of locations and is currently being actioned by NRM officers. In the feral animal management, the baiting program for 2023 continues with locations earmarked for September, with 16 landowners booked in so far, and to date 787 dog baits and 470 pig baits have been laid. In fire management on council reserves, negotiations are continuing with the Department of Resources as the responsible landowner is requesting approval to re-establish the fire break along a 400-metre stretch of land behind the western side of Grant Crescent, Wandai. The Rural Fire Service have booked Saturday the 5th of August 2023 to conduct and complete the burn. That, of course, is this Saturday. Strong Dog Laws discussion paper, the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries. The Department of Ag and Fisheries have invited submissions closing on the 24th of August on feedback on proposed changes to animal management in the Cats and Dogs Act 2008 to better protect the community from dangerous dogs. And areas of interest in the response include, for one, community education and awareness raising campaign, 2, banning of restricted dogs, 3, a new requirement to have all dogs effectively controlled in public places, and 4, reviewing penalties for offences relating to regulated dogs, with 5, a new offence including imprisonment as a maximum penalty for more serious attacks. 6 is clarifying when a destruction order must be made, and finally 7, streamlining the review processes. And in resourcing, we have Frank Togiotama is our new coordinated regulatory service and now supervises the compliance, environmental health and NRM teams, and welcome to Frank. Thanks to Talisha Schubach and Ray McKay for covering the senior NRM and compliance roles, and we also welcome Amy Donahoe from a casual role to a permanent position with the Council. In environmental health, mosquito notifiable diseases update from Queensland Health advised that there has been no new cases of Ross River virus or Barmah Forest virus in June, and to date there has been 10 cases of Ross River virus and 2 Barmah Forest virus cases in the region for 22-23, and no other mosquito-borne diseases detected. There's been an increase in June with new applications and a change of licences during this period, with some taking time to finalise as the business are new fit-outs, and have required extensions to allow operators to complete all required works to meet the Queensland food legislation. The final submission to the Queensland Health regarding the proposed changes to Queensland Food Act, these have been successfully received, and a further number of these have been taken into consideration, including one item that has been removed as it would have had significant effect across all local governments in Queensland. And with that, Deputy Mayor, I'd like my portfolio report for National Resource Management, Rural Services and Agricultural Innovation, Compliance and Environmental Health be received.
Thanks, Councillor Henson. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Shoemaker. Questions? Councillor Potter.
Yes, thank you for the report, Councillor Henson. Just curious with regards to the banning of restricted dogs. I've had a few people contact me with regards to that particular part. Do we know yet what particular dog breeds they're looking at banning? Because I have a few very concerned residents.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so the discussion paper is actually available on the website for anyone to have a look at the of that paper and the survey questions that are asked as part of the consultation, which is obviously still open for feedback. So I think that the question is around, do you support dog breeds that are restricted under Commonwealth legislation being banned in Queensland? So there are a number of breeds that are banned. So based off what I've read so far, which I haven't read it thoroughly, is that there's sort of no additional breeds that are being proposed to be banned. But obviously that's all part of the public consultation process.
Happy with that, Councillor Potter? Yeah. Any more questions? Councillor Henson?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just one, and happy to take it on notice. We were asked over the past couple of months in relation to our baiting programs that we work in conjunction with our neighbouring councils. Now, in my travels, I've noticed that Western Downs have their baiting program signs up that appears to be going to work in conjunction with us. And just a question, and I'm happy to put a question on notice, Deputy Mayor. Has the same happened with our other neighbouring councils? Because that's one thing I know to our north. Our landowners there have said about discussions with North Burnett and making sure that when we do baiting programs, we interact with them and make them all virtually on the same week, the same time frame. Because previously, what's happened is we've had a baiting program. 3 weeks later, our neighbouring councils have done the same. So, the question was asked: can we make sure we coordinate it to work in with our neighbouring councils?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, that's certainly a conversation that our officers have with adjoining council areas with their NRM people to make sure that, it is a genuine coordinated baiting program, because obviously wild dogs and such, don't discriminate between local government boundaries. So the better coverage you can get at the same time, or a week or two either side, the more effective the campaign's going to be. So yeah, there's certainly the conversations that do take place in the planning process of any baiting program.
Thanks, Darryl. So the officer's recommendation moved by Councillor Henson. Oh, sorry, Councillor Shoemaker.
No, you're
Sorry.
right. I just wanted to check just with the strong dog laws discussion paper. Is council actually preparing a response with the submission? Yep.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, certainly we are. There's some pretty pertinent points being proposed, and sort of dovetail into some of the discussions that we've had leading into budget about responsible animal management, which includes awareness programs, statewide awareness programs, which would be just wonderful.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Henson, second by Councillor Shoemaker, that Councillor Henson's Natural Resource Management Compliance and Environmental Health Portfolio Report to Council be received for information. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.2. Officer's recommendation that the Natural Resource Management Compliance and Environmental Health Operational Update be received for information. Do we have a mover? Councillor Henson, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Potter. Questions, comments? If not, we'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.3. Waste and Recycling Management Operational Update. The officer's recommendation that the Waste and Recycling Management Operational Update be received for information. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter. Seconded, Councillor Duff. Councillor Potter? No.
Sorry.
Okay. Questions in regards to that? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 8.4. Local Disaster Management Portfolio Report, and we'll go now to Councillor Potter for that update. Councillor Potter.
I'd just like to put my report forward as read. It's not very big, and it's just a little bit of information about what we've been up to lately. So I'd like to move my report as read. Thank you.
We have a seconder, Councillor Erkins. Questions, comments, councillors? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. 10.1, Waste and Recycling Management Portfolio Report. And again, we'll stay with Councillor Potter to present that report.
Thank you. There's just a little bit of stuff that I'd like to bring through this one. The gatehouse operators and landfill operation staff recently undertook legislative and regulatory training as part of the Department of Environment and Science non-compliance advice, and the training was focused on what council must do in order to comply and why compliance is mandatory. This training will be repeated in October to ensure that all new contractors are aware of their obligations before the start of the contract period. And June saw 186,582 returned to the state as part of the domestic waste and landfill prepayment, which was received from the state government. So for the 22-23 period, council received 1.420.78 million from the state government to the end of June, and council has remitted just over 1.6 million back to the state by the end of June. And the tender documents being finalised and will be released to the market by the 31st of August for both landfill operation contracts. And also the Maidenwell transfer station is progressing with the on-site ecological assessment booked for the week of 24th of July. And it's really good that the Coordinator of Waste Management recently attended the Darling Downs Southwest Environmental Health Australiana meeting, which was actually held in Gatton. So they actually got a tour of the Lockyer Valley Regional Council's FOGO trial facility at the Gatton landfill. And the program has delivered a 50% reduction in the general waste volume of the 1,000 homes participating in the trial. And the Lockyer Valley Regional Council are hoping to roll the program out to an additional 10,000 households during the course of this financial year. So it'll be really good to see where that goes and how that works. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that one. And the Nanango Weighbridge installation and transfer station upgrade, and to ensure compliance with the legislative requirements, the landfills are to have a weighbridge associated software installed. So that's a total project of 607,000 with the grant. And also there's the recycling figures there with regards to Sherberg, which is actually quite interesting. And I think the figures might be getting better if I'm remembering correctly, acting GM. We've got, so 81.5 tonne of recycling was received. And out of that, we got 65.54 tonne of material, which was actually recovered. And there was only 16.04 tonne, which was contaminated. So, and you can see the breakdown there of cardboard, paper, plastics and steel. And I think that's a really good outcome. And thank you to the community for getting on board with recycling. I'd like to move that this report be accepted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Potter. Seconded by Councillor Henson. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Duff?
Thank you, Acting Chair. Just wanting to know about just that it says here that all landfills are to have a weighbridge, and I know that we've got a plan, but I know Mergen landfill's getting close to right on needing to have a weighbridge, and then Wandai was further down the track. Just wanting to know what we're doing about that, the requirement to have a weighbridge.
Yep. Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so the requirement to have a weighbridges at your landfills is based around state legislation, and that's based upon thresholds of waste that's received at the facilities. Mergen should have actually had a weighbridge installed by now, but hasn't. And to be honest, given the amount of life that we believe's left at Mergen, we don't intend putting a weighbridge there. Obviously, we've got the one at Kingaroy. We've got the one that's under in the planning stages for Nanango, and we've got a application through to the state under the Levy Ready funding for a weighbridge at Wandai landfill. So we haven't heard whether we've had success with that or not, but yeah, that's the strategy going forward in relation to placement of weighbridges at our landfills.
Yeah, so we're just going to hold the government off until just letting them know that that's our plan, so rather than because of Mergen's non-compliant at them as we speak, and I thought that was the case.
That's correct, yes.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you for the report and the work the team does, and thank you, Councillor Potter. I just wanted to check, so you've got the attachments there, and I was going through them. It looks like Memorandum transfer station. Looks like someone's had a party or something. There's heap of cans. I just wanted to understand were these recent incidents, and can you just explain what actually happened for each of the attachments? So I know there's the Memorandum transfer station, the Cumbia transfer station, Ivesville, and Cloyna. Yeah, just more clarity around what's actually happened here.
Yeah, sure. Through you, Mr. Chair. So the first one there's Memorandum transfer station. So that's what greeted our people to open the facility one morning. Look, kangaroo skin, I think it is. Plus, obviously, yeah, they've had to rehydrate whilst they were there. So number of cans there. The next one there is a fire that we experienced after hours at the Cumbia transfer station. So as you can see, there's extensive damage to the skip bin there. The next photo is at Hydesville, so that's commercial waste. Obviously, someone's been doing some renovations or works out there and have run their truck or their load out in an area which obviously Hydesville isn't established to accept commercial waste, and no asbestos was identified. And the next one was removing a bin from Cloyna, I think it was. Yeah, Cloyna. And as it was being transported away from the site, the operator noticed it was on fire, so he dumped the bin. And yeah, we had emergency services respond to that. So all in all, not a bad response from the operator given what it could have been.
So just to confirm, these are all unsupervised sites, and that these incidents have all happened in the last month, or yes?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. All these photos are provided to the portfolio report, photos or events that have happened in the last month. And this is only a small selection of what we could put in.
I'm actually seriously concerned about the fact that every month, this is not new, this is becoming the new norm for our South Burnett Regional Council, that every single month we get photos and reports of inappropriate acts and abuse of our unsupervised waste management transfer stations. This comes at an enormous cost to our ratepayers, and I think there's more work to be done in this space in terms of, I know we've talked about locking them up and alike, but I'm seriously concerned about our ability as a council and our ratepayers' ability to actually fund these services into the future when we are having consecutive instances of abuse like this. And, you know, I cannot see no easy solution here, but I am really concerned as to how we as a council respond. I'm starting to think we need to fence and lock up every one of these services, which I know is not going to be a perhaps a popular decision in our community, but if our ratepayers want to keep these services at every edge and, you know, corner of our region, you can travel within 20 kilometres anywhere here in the South Burnett and be at our waste service, which is actually a high level of service in comparison to our other regional councils and push councils that I discussed this with last week. I think we as a council, I'm not sure what the answer is because our budget is finite, but we as a council are going to have to do something about this because it's simply not fair to our staff or our community who are doing the right thing to have to continue to clean up after people like this. And the reality is, if you look at our budget, we cannot afford these constant consecutive efforts of abuse on our services.
Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Acting Chair. Yeah, I agree that we need to do something, but I think long term that we need to fence those transfer stations and have them the same as we've done in Proston, the same as we're doing in Maidenwell. I think that should be our long term strategy, that we retain those services, but we just make them so that they're locally. The people who are live locally are using them, rather than people who are using them as an opportunity because all the other places are manned. They're dumping commercial waste because they can. I think that we need to have them, as I've said, managed the same as we have with Maidenwell and Proston. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Erkins.
Through you, Acting Mayor, I personally agree with Councillor Shoemaker, and I'm pretty disappointed because we have discussed this on many occasions about the mess that people are leaving there, and I just can't understand if people want those services, you know, maybe it's a little bit of time to put some notices up there advising people that if it continues that they are disrespected and things are dumped, that they will be closed. Because I can't see, if people are doing the wrong thing by fencing them off, what are they going to do? The wrong thing outside the fences. So I think a little bit of education into the fact that if, you know, they're responsible, if they want the service, they've got to look after the service. If you see somebody dumping or throwing something in that's lit, I mean, burning, setting those containers on fire, that's a pretty destructive act, and it's costing every ratepayer in our region money. And I believe that we should not be subsidising their irresponsible actions. So I would like to see some signage maybe go up saying that, you know, what we expect from the community and that they are at danger of losing that facility if it is not maintained and if there is continued illegal dumping. And so someone must see those things happening. If we can encourage people to someone dumping illegal rubbish, if someone sees it, ring up and put them in. Otherwise, you might lose the facility.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we have provided core fleet signs to various waste facilities indicating, you know, you've got to look after this facility, otherwise the future may be in jeopardy. So those signs either get vandalised, stolen, or shot at. So that's our experiences from what we've done, and doesn't make any difference at all to their behaviour whilst on site.
So maybe we need to shut one to show we're fair income. I mean, that's really the bottom line. Let them see that we are serious about it.
So the problem is it's not may not necessarily be the locals who are doing this. It's people who are obviously, well, the one at Cloyner, they've just come from, they were meant to put their commercial waste at a paid facility, and they just did that because they could. So a lot of the people who are using these and abusing them are not the locals. They're just people so if you put the signs up and you're trying to address the local community, well, they're obviously going to be, you know, wanting to do the right thing, but it's these other people that are coming in, the cross-border dumping is happening as well. So that's why I think long term we need to fence them and have the swipe cards.
Councillor
Sorry,
Erkenschap.
one more thing. The first photo that you put up of the skins and the cans, is that inside or outside that facility? Looks like it's outside.
Outside, yep.
Outside, yeah. You know, I just believe that people are, you know, I don't think anyone's driven from any great distance to do that. The gate's obviously been shut, so they've just thrown it on the ground. I do think that we have to send out a message that we're not joking. It is costing ratepayers a lot of money. And I just don't think that we need to stand by and just accept people's disregard. And when you said about them, you know, destroying the signs, well, that tells you what they think of. You know, they're taking us as a joke. They don't think we're serious. So maybe we need to give some consideration to looking at the facilities that we have, talk to the staff about which ones are being the worst, and maybe we do need to close one and show that we are serious about it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, certainly, and that's sort of been discussions with council to date, and we're still working through our waste plan. But certainly, what our officers are reporting back from out in the field, especially in the northern areas of the unsupervised sites, is, you know, we are getting, you know, people coming from Gameri, because, you know, Gameri's got certain hours, so people just come across into and use our facilities. And also with Wondai and Mergen facilities being open half days, because of the proximity of some of these facilities to Mergen and Wondai, they just go and travel out to these unsupervised sites, do what they've got to do, and then, you know, so it's done. You know, they can't wait till the next morning or you know, that afternoon to take their waste to one of the supervised sites. So there is, that's sort of some of the feedback we're getting is, people are travelling from Mergen, Wondai to these unsupervised sites.
Councillor Anchin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, look, a curly one, very curly one. The people in those rural areas that have those transfer stations are extremely supportive of them. Close them down, we'll have rubbish everywhere. And only yesterday a conversation was had in one of our little villages in relation to the changed hours in one of our transfer stations or rubbish dumps. It's not very popular, and there will be rubbish probably taken elsewhere when those gates are shut. Virtually openly admitted that. Now, we see it. I'm sure Councillor Duff, you see it out in the Braguda transfer station, the Chipingas transfer station, the Geelong transfer station. It's one that spoils it for everyone, and that's the problem. So my question, is there any means that council can impose a fine or something a little more serious than call flutes up saying, you know, here's a good signboard to shoot at or something when we take it, but do we have something in a policy in relation to that?
No, so we don't need a policy. We will prosecute without hesitation the moment we can lay a glove on anyone. We've had waste officers collect illegal dumping, and we've issued fines and prosecutions. At the unmanned sites, we've had security cameras. They've been over time. We continue to still use portable security cameras. It is a series of bad behaviours because the security cameras, if they're found and they go looking for them, they steal them, damage them, vandalise them and render them inoperative. So it is an ongoing, it's probably a separate report and a separate discussion because there are a variety of, and Daryl and the waste team are doing their absolute best to manage it. But if And I know people sometimes they'll feel like they're dobbing or reporting, but given the antisocial behaviour, if there is anyone who witnesses it, we would gladly take it, report all these to the police or where we can, and we will prosecute at any opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. That probably can't be a steep enough fine, but question to you, Manager Brooks, in relation to those fires in those transfer bins, skip bins, that how much damage and what's required of them after a fire's in that bin? Because I see the side of it is seriously blistered in paint. Is there a requirement, like has to be a report brought back as to their safety? Does it affect their structural stability when a fire like that happens in one? Because obviously by the time someone gets there and puts that out, that's experienced some severe heat in it.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, obviously after a fire in a bin like that, there is an assessment undertaken of it to ensure its integrity. And once again, that depends upon how much waste was in there in the first place. So, but yeah, no, there is an assessment undertaken to make sure they're still fit for purpose. A lot of it is cosmetic, you know, with the paint being gone, and obviously there's a cost associated with you know, doing the necessary repairs to get them back into some sort of serviceable condition.
Just a quick question through you, Deputy Mayor. In relation to that, when a fire happens in one of those, and there's certainly no fires in any of our transfer or waste facilities, what happens with that then? With the contents of that bin that's been set on fire?
Yeah, where there is a fire, obviously we try and get it back to a landfill because we don't have the ability to dispose of the contents at some of these facilities. So really, yeah, we just got to make the bin and the contents safe. We tarp it and then take it back to a landfill for. We don't bury it straight away because of the risk of still having some heat in there and causing something a little bit bigger. So at the landfill.
Yeah, all right. So I think the conversation we've had leads to a much bigger conversation. I think we have to be cautious on our approach with that in regards to, yeah, you're only dealing with the minority and it's like a locked gate. It'll only keep the honest people out. So we just have to have a cautious approach. And I think it's a conversation that we do need to have further down the track, but we're dealing with Councillor Potter. Do you want a quick comment before we finish?
Yeah, thank you. I know a while ago we did do a report, a media release with regards to this, and I'm just wondering whether we really need to do another one and make it a little bit more serious. I know we put in numbers and things like that in the last one of how much it was costing council. I think if we can get some updated figures on that one, because we know it's a lot more than last time, and I really think we need to push this home to the community with regards to the vandalism and everything that's happening with our transfer stations. Whether that's possible, thank you.
Yeah, I guess we can. I'm probably with Councillor Henson in pursuing a much more secure security setup and really enforcing heavy fines. That's what I'd be, because you're only dealing with the minority of the community, like Councillor Duff, and it's been commented it's, you know, people travelling and it's not the locals are getting crucified as always. It only takes one or two people to give a bad reputation on everything. So I think there's conversation there. I'm more than happy if council's happy to push that out and do another media release, Manager Brooks.
Yeah, no, through you, Mr. Chair, more than happy to do that. And I think part of the problem is, like, we don't have any controls at a lot of these unsupervised sites, so they are open 24/7. So, you know, where all the other supervised sites, we've got restricted hours, restricted access with supervision and cameras. People can come to these facilities any time of the day or night, do whatever they want to do, and have a high level of confidence that they're not going to get caught out. So, more than happy to do that.
Okay, so finishing up after good conversation, the recommendation is that Councillor Potter's Waste Management Portfolio Report to Council be received for information. Moved by Councillor Potter, second by Councillor Henson. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Councillor Henson, do you want to move that we go to morning tea, and then Manager Brooks will introduce a whole bevy of new people to us by the looks? Looking forward to that. So Councillor Henson moved that we break for morning tea, seconded by Councillor Erkins. All those in favour? Thank you. Okay, we'll see you in about 20 minutes. Okay, so welcome back. We need to move that we resume. Councillor Henson, move that we resume. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Erkins, thank you. All those in favour? Excellent, thank you. We get back to our agenda and we're on 10.2, the state government waste funding, and the officer's recommendation that the committee note the report. So do we have a mover? Councillor Henson, second Councillor Erkins. Questions, comments, councillors? Councillor Shoemaker?
Just more of a question. There are, it's interesting there's no financial surety for councils to plan and incentivise to meet and exceed targets for reducing waste to landfill and enable flexibility for council to make investment decisions. It's good to see that there's $94.4 million of grants potentially available that we could access to support the reduction in waste to landfill and boost recycling jobs. I guess I'm concerned about how they've calculated the 26-27 levy of 1.489972 when, it's open and known knowledge that this year's levy, as per the previous report, has actually exceeded what we were paid, and council's remitted $1.634786 million in 22-23. I just wondered, in the correspondence, is it clear how that 1.489 has actually been calculated, and is there opportunity to, once our waste plan or strategy is developed, to actually review or revisit that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so how that number has been derived out previously, it was based on your tonnage to landfill for the 2 years previous, and then they added a little percentage on top of that to cater for growth and all that sort of thing. So that's how it's traditionally been calculated, and it does seem that those numbers are fairly consistent with that. So that's my understanding on how that number is calculated. Now that doesn't, as we know from our own experience, it doesn't reflect the reality of tonnage to landfill. And as you say, this provides financial surety for councils getting all this money up front. But at the end of the day, we have to pay this money back each financial year with waste going to landfill. So unless you're going to introduce like a FOGO system where you can reduce 50% going to landfill, therefore reducing your waste levy liability, well, it's really just a big accounting merry-go-round. We get the money in and then we pay it back to the state each month.
That was actually my second question. I've got written down here, FOGO trial ? As part of our waste management strategy and the discussions, it's great to see that the Lockyer Valley has seen such great results from a small scale trial of 1,000 residents, and that they're expanding that to 10,000. In terms of trial or pilot or something like that, is that something that now you've got some people on the ground, may be able to start to think about and bring back to council for some consideration?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. It's certainly an action in our operational plan to investigate FOGO, so we've got that commitment to council that'll be investigated. Probably what I'd like to do is extend an invitation to interested councillors to come down to Lockyer Valley and have a look at their setup and what's working well with their FOGO trial, because it isn't all good news. There's a lot of contamination that needs to be dealt with. And then obviously you need to find that market for the product. So we can collect it, and we can process it, but what do you actually do with the finished product? So, and obviously we need land to be able to do that as well. So, and obviously with the new waste collection contract starting, from 1 July next year, we've got that flexibility in that contract to introduce FOGO at a time that council wishes to, whether that's from year 1 or year 4. That's a matter of, once we do these investigations into the pros and cons of introducing FOGO. And it's interesting to watch what other councils are doing. Obviously, Lockyer is a bit like us, you got some town areas and rural areas. Some councils are just introducing FOGO to the town areas and then not so much to the rural, because the rural people have other ways of getting rid of their organics. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not too sure. But it's just interesting to watch what other councils are doing at this point in time.
Yeah, thank you. Perhaps certainly as an action would like to take you up on your kind offer to go and have a look at the Lockyer Valley trial, and I'm sure many of my colleagues feel the same way. I think it's something that we've been watching and monitoring for the last couple of years, so it'd be great to actually get our boots on the ground and see what it looks like and better understand some of those challenges, the pros and the cons. So would love to see a date go into the calendar and to progress with that. That'd be a really great opportunity. So thank you, and thank you to the team.
Okay, so we've got the recommendation moved by councillor Hench and second by councillor Erkins that the committee note the report. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 10.3, Wide Bay Burnett Regional Waste and Resource Recovery Plan. And the officer's recommendation that the committee recommend to council that council notes and supports the Wide Bay Burnett Regional Waste and Resource Recovery Plan, WBB RWRRP. We have a mover, councillor Potter, seconded. Councillor Erkins, comments, questions? Councillor Duff?
Just on page 82, it just says about the working group and the steering group, representatives from each local government area. So have those groups been finalised, and do we have representatives on those, and who are they? Just want to check that.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So that's for the implementation of the plan. So currently at this point in time, the plan is still in draft and it's just going through the various councils within the Wide Bay Burnett area to note and support the plan. And then once that's been done, the group is also relying on funding from the state government to provide a resource officer to implement the plan. And then once that's undertaken, they'll get that governance structure established, and they'll be calling for people to nominate to be part of that steering committee or working group. So yeah, but those positions aren't currently filled at this point in time.
So through you, Acting Chair, so when they're saying a representative from each local government area, so they're saying like South Burnett will have one representative, or like, because this is a draft, so are we happy that we would have one on each of those? Is that enough, or is that?
Yeah, it's my understanding through you, Mr. Chair, that the steering committee will consist of elected reps, and the working group will sort of be at that more officer technical level. But that's the governance structure that's being proposed.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty sound structure going forward, and obviously, you know, it'll change depending upon how well it works in reality.
Yep. Thank you.
Daryl, just picking up on that, so you're saying it'll be senior exec staff, like councillors won't need to be involved in that? We'll just relay, or you'll give us information back on how it progresses? Okay, fairly deep report, 130 odd pages. Councillor Shoemaker, comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I really actually enjoyed reading the report. I think there's a lot of information there that helps us as a council understand how and where we may be able to collaborate with other councils. And I think I found it quite reassuring that our surrounding councils in the Wide Bay Burnett are certainly challenged by the same things that we are. I'm really thinking, you know, these kind of strategic priorities are something that really do need reinstill the importance of having the Wide Bay Burnett Regional Organisation of Councils. And I know that our CEO is meeting with other surrounding council CEOs. I guess I think, you know, perhaps a project like this may be something where we could reinstill those connections with other elected representatives, because I am concerned there's a lot of really great data and information and recommendations, and you can see the opportunities here. And I think it's wonderful that there'll be a subcommittee, so we've got, you know, dedicated resource with the skills, knowledge to share. But you can still see, in terms of those bigger strategic opportunities for shared infrastructure, you know, $47 million spend in a recovery facility there in Maryborough is enormous. You know, is there opportunities for our council to partner in that, or how can we make sure we're not duplicating services? And I know this will have a role, but I think there's also a role there for the elected arm. So just flagging, I think it's a marvellous piece of work. Congratulations to everybody who's involved. There's a lot of detail in here, and I think a real demonstration of the strategic and the deep critical thinking about the problems and the potential solutions. But I really do feel, and maybe CEO Mark, it's something you could raise with the CEOs, you know, there is a real need for us as elected officials to really come around the table and discuss some of these things.
Thanks, Councillor. Here's one we prepared earlier. So last week, while following on from the getting the CEOs together, we've made contact with Mayor Glenn as chair of the ROC, as well as Ken Diem, CEO of Fraser Coast, is the current treasurer. We put a formal request in for the AGM and just been working behind the scenes with everyone. Came in last week, I think it is. I was just diving for the email. There'll be AGM, so there will be a report come to the August ordinary meeting, or maybe even next week if I can get it done in time, but definitely the August ordinary to just confirm delegates. But the AGM will be held in Maribor on the 8th of September. There will be the discussion about office bearers for the ROC at that point in time. So there's 2 years worth of financial reports and audits to go through, and the business of the AGM won't be very exciting. It'll be the audits, the annual statements, and then who wants a job. But certainly we've extended the offer that, given that we've got the RRTG Secretariat, that we'd be happy to take over the administrative function for the ROC and keep it ticking over. At the conclusion of the formal business of the AGM, there will be a broad discussion with all councillor reps that are attending, which is there'll be 2 council representatives plus CEO. So they're not opening it up to the whole of every council. It'll be the 2 delegates plus the CEO attend, is to the future engagement and how we get together. So yeah, we've progressed a little bit over the last couple of months.
Okay, so if we've got no further questions or comments, councillors, the recommendation is moved by Councillor Potter, seconded by Councillor Erkins, that the committee recommends to council that council notes and supports the Wide Bay Burnett Regional Waste and Resource Recovery Plan, WBBRWRRP. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 10.4, Blackbutt Transfer Station, Commercial Waste. The officer's recommendation that the committee recommend to council, 1, that council offer a commercial waste collection service at the Blackbutt Transfer Station, and 2, that the utilisation of this service be reviewed after 6 months of use, and 3, that the operational budget for the Blackbutt Transfer Station be amended accordingly at the first quarter budget review. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, seconder. Councillor Erkins, comments or questions? 198. I'll make a quick comment. Fantastic work, Manager Brooks. Great to see something that's going to be trialled. It may fail, but at least we're trying something down there to help the community. So, good job. Anyone else? Councillor Duff?
I just want to say I agree, because it's progress when we can start to get something like this happening for Blackbutt. I know they've been wanting it for a while, and so I think it's a good news story. Thank you.
Anything else, councillors? If not, we'll go to the vote. We have our mover and Councillor Shoemaker.
I just wanted to confirm that I understand the costs. Are you able to just explain, so it's anticipated that it's only going to cost $15,000 a year, but if I read the report, we're not entirely sure on the volume of waste that we'll receive. Can you just talk me through that a little bit?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. So, so we've estimated or made some assumptions, I guess, regarding usage, and obviously that depends upon the number of commercial businesses that decide to go this way, and the tonnages that they do bring out each week or each fortnight. So that number of 15,000 does have a little bit of fat in there, I guess, based off what we assume, would be uptake of the service now. But obviously that's a watch it, and then we'll be monitoring what it does cost for and the frequencies that JJs need to attend the site. Or the other option is obviously to provide additional front lift bins for the receipt of commercial waste. Now the other number there that we've quoted is what they would be charged to come through and utilise that service. So it's $220 per cubic metre, which is consistent with the other landfill sites that don't have a weighbridge. So if the commercial businesses consider that to be too expensive and don't utilise the service, well then hence that 6-month review, we can take the bins away or engage with those premise or those commercial entities that were using it and seeing what they're doing with their commercial waste at that time. So really, yeah, we're offering that service. They're the budget estimates, and that's what we expect the commercial business operators to pay for utilising that service at Blackbutt.
Yep, thank you for clarifying that. Fully supportive of the report and think it's great to do the trial and better understand the need and the ongoing costs. So that can be factored in. Thanks for the report and the work done on this, and look forward to continuing to work with the team.
Councillor Duff, are you wanting to? No, all good? No, you're all right. So we got the recommendation there, moved by Councillor Duff, second by Councillor Erkins, as presented. No further questions. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. 11.1, the Rural Resilience and Disaster Recovery, Parks and Gardens, Property and Facility Management and First Nation Affairs Portfolio Report for the month of August. We'll now go to Councillor Duff to present that report.
Thank you, Acting Chair. In Parks and Facility Management, Council's Facilities and Parks section has been focused on the delivery of capital works projects and the implementation of the winter maintenance program for park infrastructure. Some of the projects, the Kingaroy Memorial Park redevelopment has commenced with the removal of those old concrete tables, garden beds in preparation for the installation of 5 new shelters and 12 new table settings. Council has commenced design on the repairs to the concrete stormwater drain that runs through the park and replacement of the pedestrian bridge as part of a flood repair project under the Queensland Reconstruction Authority. Banarkin First Settlers Park development has progressed with the installation of a new shelter, picnic table, footpath and bollards. Local contractor is working to install new playground fencing to improve child safety, as the playground is located close to local roads, entrance to the park and rail trail. This park is becoming a very popular stopover point on the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail, as rail trail users access amenities, picnic nodes and the local stores. Mondi swimming pool amenities refurbishment and an all-inclusive PWD is in the final stages of fit-out. Works to be completed by mid-August, ready for the 2023 swimming season. It's been a successful project jointly funded by Building Better Regions and South Burnett Council. Council has called for tenders the re-roofing of Blackbutt Hall. This project is jointly funded by local government grants and subsidy program in South Burnett Regional Council. Council is working in partnership with the Monja Hall Committee. This project is jointly funded by Gambling Community Benefit and South Burnett, and that's to re-roof the hall. And contract and works will commence in early August. With the state government waste levy, and given there is no weighbridge at the Blackbutt facility, commercial waste cannot be mixed with general waste. If this did occur, Council would be funding the full component of the waste levy for the entire contents of the bulk bin. Based off 14 tonnes of domestic waste being removed from the site each week, and with the waste levy currently being at $91 per tonne, this would equate to $1,274 per week, or over $66,000 per year just on payment of the state government waste levy. Currently, with this facility only receiving domestic waste, the waste levy liability comes from the prepayment which Council receives from the state government to offset the domestic waste going to landfill. That's, yeah, so that one is just more or less. Oh, I must have gone, I've flipped over to the right. I was thinking, why am I reading about that? So that must be the end of my report on page 200. No, I just thought it was longer than that. Is it? That's all I've got. Sorry, I couldn't work out why I was repeating about the Blackbutt when we already discussed it. Sorry, and I was thinking.
That was really good information passed on.
But what it was actually was good to show that's why we did that motion before. Okay, so that's where I end. But I just wanted to say that I said this to Manager Leanne, I've never seen the parks and gardens looking better. Like every town that I've gone into, they're immaculate. And I said that to the new lady Dallas. She's been amazing. She was at Cumbria. She's been meeting with locals at Wandi. She's meeting with locals at Mergen. She's got a great rapport with the community. You can see she's proud and loves the job, and I was commending her in there. I just think we're getting a good team together, and the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and fantastic results with Parks and Gardens. So just big shout out to the Parks and Gardens team. Thank you. I move that my portfolio report be received.
Well done, councillor, and genuine words there. Seconded by Councillor Potter. Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, absolutely, and so exciting to see those new shelters going in Memorial Park. That's been such a long-term project. And the work, I was in Banarkin the other day, and the work that's been done there, starting, and it's looking really good. It's such a busy spot, so thank you. I just wanted to ask about your winter maintenance program for park infrastructure. I think that's really exciting that we're doing a dedicated program, and just wanted to better understand what that actually involves or entails, what the team are sort of doing as part of their winter maintenance program across the region.
Through you, Acting Chair, I certainly would like to just refer to the report that we put together in our operational and capital works report a little bit later on. There's quite a detailed list there of all the works that we've been undertaking in our winter maintenance program. And we have done it in this report, just broken it down to each area. So Kingaroy, the Nango, Mergen, Bondi and Proston, Hinesville. And look, I think having a winter program with clear duties that need to be performed during winter while we're not mowing has really provided the staff with a very detailed plan so they can get to everything, not only just our CBDs, but out into those other parks across each of the towns. And some of those parks don't get the attention they need because we're so busy ensuring that the main parks and the entrances to our towns are looking absolutely spotless. But you'll see in that report that we've provided a little bit later on, where they are getting back out and actually cleaning all of the playground equipment, cleaning all the shelters. We're even getting to the point of varnishing a lot of our shelters as well that's got timber work. So you'll see in a lot of other parks across the region, they're actually getting really good maintenance, and I think that's great. And look, I think it's seasonal. I think you've just got to keep remembering it depends on what's happening with the weather. Yes, it is extremely dry and we've had no rain, and we're not mowing. You might see a mower out just doing a bit of a tidy up, but we're not got that intense mowing program. Now, I hope that changes for the region. I hope you see by summer we've got some beautiful rainfall, but it will mean our parks officers will move to the mowers and they won't be doing the varnishing and the cleaning of the playground equipment and the washing of all of the shelters because they've done it in the winter. So, yeah, if you've got any specific questions, happy to discuss with you later about a particular park that you may have wanted to see some winter maintenance done in that area. But, yeah, they're generally getting a fair bit of tidy up across the whole region.
Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, look, great. There's some good work goes on out there, and isn't it amazing how it turns around? This time last year we were getting absolutely smashed. We were mowing twice and 3 times a week in places, and now we don't even have to start a mower, so it can turn around pretty quick, that's for sure. Just like to bring mention, Councillor Duff, and perhaps it'll be in next month's report, the work done also up on the lookout in Proston there. They're completed now. They do look good, so hopefully that those structures stay intact and the people in the community can enjoy that, and we can progress around our community with perhaps, and I know there's a conversation with Main Roads Manager Man in relation to the shelter out on the Bunya Mountains corner, and a conversation I've had with Crawford School in relation to a shelter there as well. So yeah, a lot of good work going on around the region, and a big congratulations to the staff. behind the scenes, because they're the ones that are doing it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Engine. Manager Meehan, just on that one out at Cumbia, where are we at with that? Because I think have we done any work on that or moved on that? Because I think that's a bus stop as well for children.
Oh, yeah, look, I can just elaborate a little bit. There's been huge conversations which we do have with main roads with anything to do with infrastructure on the network or the corridors. They're looking at, I believe, whether it can be refurbished and tidied up with a bit of gravel. And the purpose of that, for my colleagues and the public out there, that is a bus stop there where at the moment they're stopping on the Bunya Mountains Road. There's a bit of a safety issue there, whereas bollards have been mentioned about petitioning it off from the highway. Hopefully be able to refurbish it. If not, maybe we've got to put a new one there, but that's been the conversation we've had to date, and a bit of gravel there and tied it up, and that'll be another wonderful facility within our region, entering our gateway to the South Burnett.
Yeah, through the chair, just to support the council, he's spot on. There's discussion with main roads around the structure out there at the moment that it may need to be recertified or refurbished, so Kev will be looking at those options and bringing that back to the future standing committee to see which way council wants to proceed.
Thank you. Okay, the recommendation there, moved by Councillor Duff, second by Councillor Potter, that Councillor Duff's Rural Resilience and Disaster Recovery, Parks and Gardens, Property and Facility Management and First Nation Affairs Portfolio Report to Council be received for information. All those in favour? Unanimous. 11.2, request from the Steaming Back to Wandai event. The recommendation is that the committee recommend to council that the Steaming Back to Wandai organisers are allowed to remove the old railway spikes from the old Fettler's shed for them to use as souvenirs at their Steaming Back to Wandai event in September 2023. Do we have a mover? Councillor Henson, seconded Councillor Duff. Comments, questions? I don't think there's anything too serious there. I think it's a good thing. Go straight. Councillor
Yeah,
Henson.
just quickly, a conversation with some I've had around that wonderful initiative there. Have seen this done before out in different parts of Australia with railway spikes. There's only probably one thing that I might make a suggestion of, and that's allowed to remove the old railway spikes in a shed. I'd like to see them all removed and probably put in a safe place or safer place. So whether we can have that conversation with the organisers, because once they get taken away, and if they're lost, they're gone forever. They're in people's sheds or whatnot. But I'd like to see them actually put in a safe place. Let them certainly use whatever. There's a few there. Not sure they'll need all of them, but certainly whether it's them or someone, put them in a safe place.
So, Councillor, you represent, you're the councillor for Wandai. Are you happy to work with the manager of parks to look after that? We'll leave that with you guys.
Put them in a yep.
Okay. So we have the recommendation there, moved by Councillor Henson, second by Councillor Duff, that the committee recommend to council that the Steaming Back to Wandai organisers are allowed to remove the old railway spikes from the old Fettler's shed for them to use as souvenirs at their Steaming Back to Wandai event in September 2023. All those in favour? Unanimous. 11.3, the Ros Gregor walking track consultation, and the officer's recommendation that the committee recommend to council that one, council receive the community consultation report for Ros Gregor walking track vegetation maintenance, and 2, improve the Ros Gregor walking track drainage to prevent future hazards along the track through silt removal from track, resurface low-lying areas with deco and place pipe under walking track to improve drainage, and 3, council budget for the works at the 23-24 first quarter review. Do we have a mover? Councillor Erkin, seconded Councillor Shoemaker. Comments, questions? Councillor Shoemaker.
I just actually earlier this week went for a walk on the Ros Gregor Trail going through Nanango. Thought I'd go have a look, and it is an amazing how many people actually that was a Monday afternoon, were actually on the trail. I noticed that the bitumen seal is quite cracked in some places, and I understand, the report talks a lot about drainage, and that's been a key theme of the communication that comes through. I'm just wondering, in terms of that longer term plan for the trail, have we got into, in future programs, resealing of those tracks around Menengo, have we ever really looked at that? Like, I know it's not just there, I know they extend a very long way, but it did look like, and I'm just aware of the conversations we've had about the rail trail sealing. I'm wondering if it's not something we shouldn't just flag for investigation in the lead up to next year's budget or the one after, or if there's some, you know, sport and rec funding for trails or footpaths or something. Just keen to hear any feedback. I know it's, you know, I know they were put in back in the Nanangarshire Council days. Just know that at one point they'll need replacing or repairing.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. Unfortunately, we don't have any money in this year's Capital Works program or operational funding to actually do any major repairs. What we're proposing here is some minor for a particular area that come through the consultation, but also to follow up on the petition that was also presented to Council in, I think it was the previous month as well. So, yeah, we're happy to take it on board and have a look at it. There is a number of walking trails across the South Burnett, that some are bitumen and some are deco that we really need to have a good look at and look at how we're going to fund them in the future. And certainly I agree, we probably need to be looking at alternative sources of funding to be able to fund some of this stuff. So it is, you know, it is walking and exercising for the community. And I think as our community has moved to more, you know, park run events, triathlons, marathons, all sorts of activities along these areas, we may actually be eligible for some funding. And yeah, most definitely happy to take it on board and have a look at other sources of funding on how we could repair this, but we will need to get across the region and get a handle on the condition of it all.
Yeah, thank you. Certainly appreciate that that is a very big job. But yeah, I do think it is something that is important to plan for into the future. So yeah, really appreciate if there's any feedback on that comes through in those further budget conversations or funding rounds.
Okay, so the committee recommendation moved by Councillor Erkin, seconded by Councillor Shoemaker, is that the committee recommend to council as presented there in front of you. No further questions. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. 11.4, Mergen Hoop Pine Community Consultation. The officer's recommendation that the committee recommend to council that 1, the hoop pine located on the footpath in McAllister Street, Mergen, is not removed, and 2, ongoing 12-monthly tree inspections be conducted to monitor the health of the tree, and a future report presented to council if the health of the tree changes and poses a safety concern to the community. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff. Seconded, Councillor Potter. Councillor Potter, you got your light on. Comments, questions?
I am so happy we are not removing another tree. We moved all those beautiful trees out of the park in Mergen, and after going to Gundawindi and seeing all the beautiful Moreton Bay figs and how the council's worked with them, and they are just incredible, and they are posing no threat to any of their infrastructure because they've worked it out, they've worked a way around it. So I'm just so happy with this one. Thank you.
Councillor Duff.
Yeah, so there was extensive consultation, but the big one was that the staff said that there's no safety issue with that. The community were concerned about, and we have since tidied up. There were dead branches and there was a safety issue. So that was the main concern for the community. I spoke to Councillor Erkins about those. Those, from what I can understand, the Moreton Bay figs are not right in the middle of a CBD where they're affecting the infrastructure in those other towns. So is the problem in Mergen. The safety and trip hazards of those routes. So that's why they're stage 2. They'll be looking at them as well. So just wanted to flag that. Thank you.
So if there's no further comments, we'll go to the committee recommendation moved by Councillor Duff, seconded by Councillor Potter, that the committee recommend to council as presented there. We go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Now move on to 12.1, Facilities and Parks Operational Update, and the officer's recommendation is that the Facilities and Parks operational update be received for information. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, seconded Councillor Potter. Manager Peterson, were you indicating that you're referring to this report as a lot of work? Do you want to extend on those comments, and then we'll have any questions if needed?
Certainly, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, you can see in the report there's a very detailed update on our capital works programs. There's a number of projects that where we have fully engaged the contractors and works have commenced. So happy to take questions on capital works. There's also, you can see a number of these projects have actually been funded or partly funded with funding bodies. So there's a mountain of work that goes into reporting and providing milestone reports and updates on Gantt charts and project management to all the relevant departments. So there's a number of people within the organisation that provides support right through to our finance team in providing us with information to assist us to get that reporting back to the department to meet our milestones. So at this stage, all projects are on track and commencing well. So there's probably just a rollout of a little bit more community consultation that will happen over the next couple of months. You'll see some diary entries coming out, calendar entries coming out for councillors as we sort of progress the QE2 Stage 2, Banarkin Stage 2, and particularly in Cumbia, we'll start to roll out our community consultation in Cumbia in September. So I just wanted to highlight those particular projects. But yes, if you've got any questions about the detailed maintenance, you can, happy to discuss that. And that's probably about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Manager. Councillor Duff.
Just wanting to know through you, Acting Chair, about the Kingaroy to Kilkeepan Rail Trail, that northern end. It says the grant, project plan and budget to be discussed in June. So what's happening with that?
Yep, thank you. Most definitely things are progressing. So we have had a steering committee meeting with the department and the relevant engineers and project managers to actually finalise the scope of works and talk about the design. Because obviously, yeah, there's a number of issues across all of those crossings and how we're going to repair that within the budget that we have. So all of that has been scoped out. Where we're at now is we're looking at actually going back and talking to some of the key stakeholders to actually update them. So we really want to get back and have a chat to South Burnett user group, and that will happen over the next 4 weeks. And also some of the landowners are joining the actual crossings as well. So we want to talk to them, especially in the north there, just north of Mergen, where the rail trail does access over the top of a access point to a property owner. We're keen to actually meet on site and talk through the designs and get the input from the stakeholders as well. So that's probably where it's at. No works have been awarded or have been tendered for construction, and we have not gone to to any sort of works on ground at the moment. It's really just finalising the scope of works and the pricing, because if some of those projects are greater than the money that we have in the budget, that's when we need to have a look at the other grant that we have, which is the QRA grant, and see how the two grants can complement each other. So it's a little bit complicated, but the good thing for us is that the scope of works is completed and we're progressing with over the next month with those meetings.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions for Manager Peterson, we've got the councillors.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a big shout out, and colleague Councillor Potter and I some time ago had conversations with people in the public, and it's great to see the council has released a public notice in relation to the sanitary and incontinence bin services within the South Burnett region. That is greatly appreciated by a lot of members in our community, so thank you very much.
Yep, no worries. Thanks.
Okay, so we've got the recommendation there, moved by Councillor Duff, second by Councillor Potter, that the Facilities and Parks operational update be received for information. Go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. We move on now to 13, questions on notice, 13.1. And the following question on notice was received from Councillor Scott Henchen. The question was, What was the outcome with the CRM raised on truck tyres on Strongs Road? Councillor Henson, are you happy with that response? So would you like to move that be received? Seconder, Councillor Duff, go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 13.2. Question on notice, tyres at the Nango landfill. The following question on notice was received from Councillor Kathy Duff. And the question was, when we collect the tyres from the Nango, where do they go and how much does it cost? Councillor Duff, you happy with that response?
Yes, thank you.
Would you like to move that it be received?
Yes, please.
Seconder, Councillor Potter, go to the vote. Unanimous. 13.3. The following question on notice was received from Councillor Scott Henson. The question is there a regulation or law about selling a second-hand mattress? Councillor Henson, are you happy with the response?
Yeah, thank you.
Would you like to move that be received?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a
Thanks.
seconder? Councillor Erkins, go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. We've already addressed 13.4, 13.5, Mergen Shade Shelters. The following question on notice was received from Councillor Kathy Duff. This matter was laid on the table from the Infrastructure Environment Compliance Standing Committee meeting 5th of July. The question was, with the Mergen Shade Shelters, there has been some feedback from the community that a lot of people can't get between the seat and the tables because they are so close. Is it possible the seats can be put further back? Councillor Duff, are you happy with the response?
Yes, and I believe that when we do stage 2, we're going to be looking at perhaps doing them a little differently, so that way there'll be choice. Thank you.
So you're happy to move that?
Yes.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Potter, go to the vote. All those in favour? Okay, we now come to the confidential section, sorry. See you, Gerald. Thanks for attending, mate. The officer's recommendation is that council considers a confidential report listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012. And that matter is the update Kingaroy Swimming Pool Water Management. This matter is considered to be confidential under section 254JG of the Local Government Regulation, and the council is satisfied that discussion of this matter in an open meeting would, on balance, be contrary to the public interest as it deals with negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government for which a public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interests of the local government. So I'd move that we move into confidential. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Henson, go to the vote. Those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so 14.1, the confidential section, the Kingaroy Swimming Pool Water Management. The officer's recommendation is that the committee recommend to council that 1, the information report is received and further reports to be brought back to council once the water leak has been identified. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconder. Councillor Duff, go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you all. That brings our meeting to a close today at 11:56. Anyone that's been still online, thank you for joining us, and thanks to all the councillors and staff. Thank you, and have the good rest of the day. Bye.